Am I the a-hole for calling the cops on my husband's paedophile uncle at a family gathering? Divorce is likely in the near future, and if this is what broke us, then good riddance. I've been with my husband for 6 years and I have 9 and 10-year-old daughters. Roughly 3 or 4 years into the relationship was the first time I had heard of Uncle Steve. I hadn't met 60% of my husband's family at this point because nearly all of them live clear across the country. Anyways, apparently Uncle Steve was in prison for 29 years, following the molestation of his 2 young daughters, aged 3 and 8 at the time, and distribution of child photos. Not much else was said about him, to be honest. I can't even remember why he got brought up. His sister mentioned him. But regardless, he was in prison when they told me about the guy. Well, we got invited to my husband's aunt's house for a family get-together on Saturday. There was easily 40 people there. I didn't know 90% of them. Some people introduced themselves but most stuck to themselves. I had my girls with me. At dinner all the kids were made to sit in the living room on the floor. There was about 4 adults in there, including a 50-ish-year-old woman and her partner, who was holding a cane and had an oxygen tank. The kids, about 10 to 15 kids, were sat down in front of this couple. After dinner I was talking to my mother-in-law and just happened to look over and I saw that woman taking pictures of the kids, including my daughters. The guy on oxygen was just staring at them, all of them, not just mine. I ask my mother-in-law who they are and she casually says, "Oh, that's Uncle Steve and his partner." So I openly said the paedophile. She goes, "Allegedly." So I got a little frantic at this point and called for my daughters and told them to go outside and wait by the car, and then turned to my mother-in-law and said, "And why the hell would no one think to mention to me that a damn paedophile was invited here?" She goes, "He has a cane and an oxygen mask. What's he going to do? He can't even breathe." I call my husband over and give him the rundown. He also had no idea who this guy was, as when he was born this man was already in prison. I told him to go ask them to delete the photos of my children. He acted sheepish, so I went and told them to delete the photos myself. The woman got immediately defensive and it drew a crowd. Well, apparently everyone believes I'm in the wrong. He served his time, I was making a big deal out of nothing, etc. etc. They refused to delete the photos on principle alone. It may be important to note that Uncle Steve just sat there with a smile on his face, staring at me, while saying thank you to everyone that defended him. I felt backed into a corner, knowing this guy was charged with distributing pictures of children and now he has photos of mine. So I called the cops. They show up, they confiscate the woman's phone as evidence for violation of parole probation. I left after the cops took my statements instead of waiting around to see what happened. My husband didn't have my back at all. He says he is mortified that I took it to this level. Says I'm so damn embarrassed right now. You really involved the cops? You couldn't have just talked to them calmly to see if it'd make a difference? As I said, I'm likely heading for divorce. But until then, I'm being harassed by my in-laws telling me I'm ignorant, that he served his sentence, that he's not the man he used to be and so on. My husband simply won't talk to me. Am I the a-hole?